Welcome back to DFC Books. Today, we are strapping ourselves in for a truly magnificent deep dive
We really are.
into a world ruled by magic, ambition, and maybe surprisingly, a serious obsession with fruit preserves.
You can't forget the jam.
Absolutely not. We're meticulously unpacking Secrets of the Silent Witch, another Rise of the Barrier Mage 1 by Matsuri Isora. This book is it's a masterclass in watching this incredibly chaotic protagonist forge his destiny out of sheer necessity, really, and maybe a bit of spite.
It really is. And our mission today, it's pretty critical. We're going to trace, chapter by chapter, the astonishing and, let's be honest, frankly, violent journey of Louis Miller.
Right.
This isn't just about some powerful mage popping into existence. It's about a boy from the deepest, most desolate poverty you can imagine, Northern Radill.
King Grouts, yeah.
Exactly. And he sets his sights on becoming one of the 7 sages. Now, for anyone listening who hasn't encountered this world yet, we need to be clear.
Yeah, what are the sages?
The 7 sages aren't just powerful mages. They are the absolute pillars of magic and, importantly, political power in the kingdom of Radill. It's the ultimate status, almost unreachable.
Unreachable is definitely the key word there. And Louis, well, he starts with goals much smaller than ruling the kingdom, which is what makes his rise so compelling, I think.
Totally.
We're going to show you how his early years, marked purely by survival instinct, really paved the way for this unique, disruptive talent. So disruptive, it could barely be contained by the kingdom's most prestigious and often horrified mage training institution.
Right. Prepare for a story full of grit, surprising talent, and, yes, we promise, a significant amount of jam.
Okay, let's unpack Louis Miller's origins then. He wasn't exactly born under a lucky star, was he?
Not even close. The sources paint a pretty grim picture. His start is in Dangroats. Think desolate, snow-buried village way up in northern Radill.
Harsh.
Very. Born in a brothel, his mother died young. He was raised primarily by the working women there, and the owner, Karsh, who sounds like a real piece of work, miserly.
Yeah, it's the definition of a harsh, zero-sum environment. Just survival.
And that environment absolutely shaped him. Karsh, the owner, taught him reading, writing, basic math, but not out of kindness.
Oh, no.
No, it was pure necessity. Karsh basically told him, learn or die. Louis's job pretty quickly went from errand boy to the brothel's sort of impromptu bodyguard.
Wow, so he developed this profile early on.
Exactly. Quick-witted, fiercely strong-willed, naturally aggressive. He viewed the entire world strictly through the lens of short-term survival. There's just no room for anything else like philosophy or grand plans.
So what gives him that first spark, that first ambition beyond just not dying today?
It's fascinating, actually. It comes from a simple everyday item. One of the prostitutes, Shauna, she urges him to leave. She sees the place for what it is.
What does she say?
She tells him the brothel residents are just strangers huddling together for warmth. Hits hard, right? She recognizes he needs something more, a real family, a real future.
And she introduces him to
Jam. She gives him a small jar of jam. Now, in that place, jam meant sugar, which meant expensive. A real luxury.
Okay.
And Shauna tells him her favorite flavor is marmalade. And that single, tangible thing, it crystallizes Louis's first real goal.
Not power, not revenge.
Nope. To save enough money, get out of the brothel, and fill his belly with marmalade. It represents something concrete. Security, comfort, a life beyond Dangroats.
That desire, that marmalade goal, it sets the stage for the most pivotal encounter of his young life, doesn't it?
It really does. Meeting his future mentor, Gideon Rutherford, the mage of violet smoke.
And this happens because Louis is, well, being Louis, stealing things.
Pretty much. He's scavenging as usual and steals Rutherford's annotated magecraft textbook after the teacher gets delayed by an avalanche. Classic Louis opportunity.
Rutherford's an instructor from Minerva's, the elite academy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he tracks Louis down, probably expecting the book's been sold or just tossed aside.
But that's not what he finds.
Not at all. He finds Louis in this rundown shack, poring over this highly technical material. Rutherford, a seasoned instructor, he challenges the kid.
This is where it gets crazy. This is the raw genius part.
Absolutely. Louis doesn't just recognize the spells, he demonstrates instantaneous learning. The sources are clear. He mastered multiple beginner spells in a single week.
Just from reading the book?
No.
No instruction?
Just from reading Rutherford's annotations. He even proves it by challenging Rutherford, taunting him, saying the privileged noble kids at Minerva's must be even dumber than some brat from the boonies.
Nerve.
Astounding audacity. And Rutherford, remember, he's the mage of violet smoke. His unique power is the smoke magecraft imbued with numbing, paralyzing components. He's power.
He's just stunned.
Completely stunned. This isn't just fast learning. It's like a fundamental difference in how magic works for Louis. Standard training takes years of memorization, mana conditioning. Louis just absorbs it.
Like breathing?
Pretty much. Rutherford recognizes this volatile, raw talent needs guidance. He can't just let it run wild.
So he gives him the slap first.
Brings him down a peg, yeah. And then offers the golden ticket, a scholarship recommendation to Minerva's Mage Training Institution.
And just like that, Louis, who was only aiming for enough cash for jam, is suddenly on this path to power he never even asked for.
A path he probably didn't even understand at that point. Hashtag tag 2. The prologue and chapter 1 summary.
Now, the book does something interesting here. It doesn't just start chronologically.
No, it jumps ahead. The prologue. Mere Prison throws us about a decade into the future.
Right. We see Louis, mid-20s. He's not the starving kid anymore. He's a high mage, already known as the Barrier Mage.
And he's serving in the elite magic corps. Top-tier stuff.
This first scene, it really establishes his unique power set perfectly. He's leading a unit on this dangerous dragon hunt. Benares Plains.
10 lesser dragons. That's no small feat. 4 earth, 6 fire types. High-stakes conflict.
And Louis handles it using Grand Mashcraft, which sounds grand.
It is. The complexity here is immense. You need to understand, he's simultaneously maintaining this mirror prison barrier.
What does that do?
It's a complex, highly dense dome that reflects and magnifies attacks inside it. Traps them.
Okay, tricky.
And while doing that, he's also summoning Sheffield, the king of the wind spirits, to unleash these powerful storms within the barrier.
Whoa. So high-level summoning and maintaining a massive, complex barrier at the same time?
Exactly. That requires exceptional mana control, split-second thinking. It shows you exactly what the kid from the brothel grew up to become, a powerhouse.
And his motivation. Still kind of down to earth, isn't it?
Hilariously so, in a way. After the hunt, the source says he's counting his reward money, and he exclaims, "I can buy a house in the capital."
That's his big goal.
That's the immediate one, followed by, "And then I swear I'll become a sage." The ultimate status, sagehood, it's almost like just another item on his checklist to get the stuff he wants, like the house.
So the prologue shows us the destination, where he ends up.
Precisely. And then chapter 1. So much to discover, family, the whole world, and new flavors of jam. That takes us back. It provides the crucial emotional origin story.
This chapter ties it all together.
Yeah, Shauna's death, finding the textbook, showing off his impossible genius, learning the spells in a week, and then formally accepting the scholarship. It's his defining moment of transition, the real start of the journey.
He leaves Dangroves, just 11 years old. What does he even take with him?
Just his few meager possessions, that incredibly valuable textbook he stole, and that empty jam jar Shauna gave him.
The jam jar. Wow.
His ambition isn't just survival anymore. It's rooted in achieving that comfort, that security that Marmalade represented, and that tangible goal. That's the student who's about to absolutely crash the gates of Radil's most prestigious magic academy.
It's also marked by loss, though, right? Shauna's gone.
Deeply. She was the only one who really pushed him, cared enough to tell him to seek something better. Now she's gone. Louis' ambition isn't fueled by idealism, saving the world or anything. It's driven by that raw, emotional wound of losing his only real connection and wanting a world where he doesn't have to fight just to eat.
That makes his later actions make a bit more sense, maybe.
So Louis arrives at Minerva's. This place is ancient, prestigious, the pinnacle of magical education in the kingdom. He's ready to start.
But it's not that simple, is it?
Yeah.
System shock right away.
Immediately.
Yeah.
The aristocratic system throws up its first barrier. He's told, "Sorry, kid, you gotta wait 5 months before enrollment."
5 months? Why?
The lengthy social season break for the nobles, it just highlights this massive social gulf between Louis and the establishment he just walked into.
So Rutherford just lets him sit around for 5 months.
No, Rutherford uses this delay, not as a punishment exactly, but more like an advanced initiation. A test.
Okay.
He hands Louis 3 massive boxes, filled with complex assignments, high-level magecraft theory, ancient scripts, advanced math, but it's all completely scrambled, mixed up.
Why scrambled?
To make it harder, waste time. Rutherford challenges him. Finish this impossible amount of work stuff designed to take a normal student years, and you can skip general enrollment, start practical training immediately when the term begins.
And Louis, being Louis,
accepts instantly. His pride is all tied up in proving he's smarter than everyone else. This mountain of work, just another challenge.
this sets the stage perfectly for Chapter 2. The dormitory jam hunt incident.
Oh, yes. Which immediately introduces his permanent roommate, Owen Wright.
Owen sounds like the complete opposite of Louis.
Pretty much. He's an honor student, common background like Louis, but super disciplined, focused on joining the Magic Corps, studying like crazy to honor his father's sacrifices. He's the model student.
And then the incident, the legendary jam incident.
Legendary's right. Louis is in the cafeteria, finally enjoying some precious, hard-earned jam.
Probably not marmalade yet.
Probably not, just jam. And a group of privileged students bumps him, makes him drop the dish.
Oh.
For Louis, this isn't just spilled food. It's like a direct attack on everything he's fought for, that little bit of security.
And his reaction is measured, calm.
Absolutely not. It's pure violent survival instinct kicking in. He completely loses control, beats up the boys, slams one kid's head against the floor, causes total chaos. He even delivers this terrifying impromptu threat about boiling his enemy's organs, apparently quoting some old Imperial era stuff. Just brutal.
Okay, so the faculty must have come down hard.
Instantly, Rutherford gives him a public slap, piles on more assignments, and cuts off his access to food services. Punishment.
But there's a twist, right, with Owen?
Yes. Owen realizes that Louis' extreme actions actually scared off his own bullies. So out of gratitude, maybe pity, he gives Louis his own jar of prize marmalade and some bread.
He finally gets his marmalade.
He achieves his first major life goal, eating marmalade. And what does he do?
Set a new goal.
Immediately shifts focus. Material comfort achieved for now. New goal. Outsmart the guy who tried to slow him down with those scrambled assignments. Outsmart Rutherford.
Ah, so he figures out the scrambling wasn't accidental.
Exactly. He realizes it was a strategic time waster. So he immediately starts this exhaustive task of organizing those 3 boxes of notes using that phenomenal photographic memory and recall he has.
Owen must have been baffled.
Completely dumbfounded by Louis' chaotic genius. The talent's undeniable, but the methods. Pure problem child. By chapter 3, he's earned his first nicknames. Miller the Jam Hunter, which eventually just becomes the problem child of Minerva's.
Sounds about right. #4. Allies, rivals, and the barrier mage's path.
So Louis' arrival definitely shakes things up.
Yeah.
He starts interacting with key figures, including Rosalie Verde.
He meets her in the library.
Yeah. And she's the total opposite of the chaos he just caused. Calm, highly intelligent, top honor student. Doesn't seem fazed by him at all.
And she has this incredible background, right? Daughter of a sage.
Immense magical power in the family. Her father is Bertrand Verde, the aquamancy mage, one of the revered 7 sages. She has the top written grades, perfect lineage, academic focus.
But there's a catch.
A critical flaw. She's secretly plagued by very low mana capacity, which, for someone aiming to be a powerful mage, is crushing. It makes her deeply insecure about her future.
That's a really important detail. She represents everything Louis lacks on the surface: refinement, status, but maybe shares that internal struggle.
Exactly. She has determination, intellect just like him, but faces this huge internal barrier. While they're navigating classes, Louis is also still working part-time at Go's place.
Keeping grounded, earning his jam money.
Right. Which brings us to chapter 4, a problem child's surefire strategy for winning magic battles. Practical magecraft classes start.
How does Louis approach magical duels? Subtly.
Not Louis. He quickly realizes that relying purely on spell power is kinda slow compared to his raw physical strength and speed.
So his strategy is?
Physical intimidation and force, pure and simple. It's a complete rejection of how these refined, noble students fight their duels from a distance. Louis uses punches, quick kicks, body check skills he learned being a brothel bodyguard.
He just closes the distance and shuts him down.
Pretty much, especially his new rival, Adolphe Ferrin. Adolphe's supposed to be top in practical skills, but he's intensely envious of Louis' raw talent and all the attention he's getting.
But Louis isn't just punching people, is he? He has actual magic skill, too.
Oh, absolutely. He simultaneously demonstrates really advanced talent. Quick chanting multiple spells, maintaining them at the same time. The source mentions him handling 30 fireballs at once while keeping 2 other spells active.
30. That's insane control.
It is. So when Adolphe and his buddies try to gang up on him, Louis just grabs one guy as a human shield, deflects invisible wind blades, and knocks out the main caster with a punch. Efficient. Brutal.
The faculty must have loved that.
They were horrified, seriously debated expelling him, but the headmaster points out his stellar academic record, his undeniable skill. They can't just toss him out.
So what's their solution?
A technical one. They upgrade the magic battle barriers. Incorporate a specific formula from the late water mirror mage that nullifies physical attacks.
They changed the rules specifically because of him.
Basically, yeah, forcing him to adapt. It just confirms his status. He's a structural problem for the institution.
So Louis, being obsessed with power, shifts focus. What's next?
Mana capacity. He needs more fuel for his spells. This leads him straight into Chapter 5, the Grotto Mage.
He figures out the off-limits forest isn't just dangerous because of animals.
Exactly. He deduces it's restricted because it's dangerously dense with mana, so naturally, he heads right there to train in secret.
And Rosalie gets involved. How?
Unexpectedly, yeah. She notices his interest in these high-density mana spots and follows him, confronts him.
And she reveals her secret.
Yeah, her desperation about her low mana capacity, how she's trying risky things to increase it, and while they're there, in that dense mana, she suffers minor mana poisoning.
Oh no. How does Louis react?
This is a big moment for him. Real vulnerability. He stops training immediately, full of this uncharacteristic self-blame, wraps her in his cloak, and carries her back to the infirmary.
Carrying her, that's different for him.
It really is. It establishes this bond between them, not based on social stuff, but on shared ambition, shared struggle. He sees her as a kindred spirit, fighting against the odds, just like him.
Okay, so things are getting complicated. He's got allies, rivals, this weird bond with Rosalie. And now the school's actively trying to counter him.
Which sets the stage perfectly for his first major defeat. Chapter 7, the Barrier Witch.
This is where that new barrier comes into play, the one that stops punches.
Exactly. It's deployed, and Rutherford himself decides it's time to test Louis personally.
Louis must be confident, with his focus on barriers now.
Overconfident. He throws up his defensive dome-shaped barrier, relying on its strength. Thinks he's got defense figured out.
But Rutherford has a trick up his sleeve.
More than a trick. He reveals his past. He used to be a captain in the Royal Knights, with the nickname the Grotto Mage.
Grotto Mage, why?
Because he summons Arcredo, king of the Earth Spirits. And he directs this incredibly powerful Spirit King to attack Louis from below the dome, bypassing the barrier entirely by attacking its structural weak point.
Attacking from underneath. Genius.
Louis is completely defeated, humbled thoroughly, and then Mager, the barrier techniques instructor, delivers the final blow.
What does she say?
She confirms that Rutherford's unique violet smoke, the stuff Louis had previously dismissed, can actually pass through even the strongest barriers. Its numbing component works differently. It's an impossible technique to block conventionally.
That defeat, that sounds like the real turning point.
It's the birth of the barrier mage, truly. Louis' goal shifts again. That short-term thing of outsmarting the old rat, Rutherford, it's replaced by a monumental technical obsession. Defeat Rutherford by mastering barriers, specifically barriers that can even stop that smoke.
So he dives into research.
Immediately, piles up research papers for Mager, demands strategies to counter the smoke, begs to join her supplementary barrier lecture class. He even bribes her with a bottle of confiscated alcohol he probably stole back.
Classic Louis.
But Mager sees it. Despite all the chaos, she recognizes the pure, intense focus of his genius when it's locked onto a problem. Louis spends the entire winter break locked in Mager's lab, just diving deep into complex barrier theory. He's found his true calling, his specialization. And it's all driven by the burning desire to overcome that humiliation.
Okay, so this intense focus on barriers, it pays off, right? Gets him into the advanced course.
Absolutely. His progress is undeniable. And this is where he meets Carla Maxwell, the Star Spear Witch.
Another powerful student.
She's an advanced course scholarship student. Until Louis crashes the party, she was the only student in Rutherford's specialized lab.
Star Spear Witch. Sounds impressive.
She is. Rumor has it she can maintain 7 spells simultaneously. Unparalleled concentration. Everyone assumes she's a future sage candidate. She's another genius. But unlike Louis, she's disciplined, follows the rules, plays the game.
So Rutherford must be pleased to have another student of Louis's caliber in his lab.
Pleased. Rutherford immediately uses Louis's advancement as another opportunity for punishment, of course.
What does he do this time?
Chapter 8. A busy school festival. Louis is forced to give a research presentation on his barrier techniques to secure his spot, with almost zero prep time.
Sink or swim. How does he do?
He delivers brilliantly, apparently. But naturally, chaos has to follow Louis wherever he goes.
Oh boy. What happens at the festival?
Well, because of his part-time job at Go's place, things get complicated. To keep the infamous problem child hidden from the festival crowds and protect Minerva's reputation, Sally, Go's daughter, makes Louis wear a girl's outfit and a wig.
No. He has to work the stall, dressed as a girl.
Yep. While he's miserably lamenting his surprisingly decent looks in the outfit and trying to hide, guess who shows up?
Let me guess. Adolf Farron.
Bingo! Still intensely envious, still holding grudges. He steals Louis's uniform while Louis is stuck in the dress.
Okay, this is going to end badly.
What follows is peak problem child behavior. Louis tracks Adolf down, still in the dress and wig, finds him gloating, showing off to Rosalie, and Louis exacts spectacular revenge. He hangs Adolf from a tree.
Hangs him.
Yep. And apparently tries to use a tiny bit of Rutherford's smoke magecraft he'd somehow acquired to, quote, turn him into smoked meat.
Oh my God.
This incident basically cements his problem child status across the entire kingdom. Word even reaches the royal family. He's infamous now.
But what about the advanced course? Did the tree incident wreck that?
Surprisingly, no. Despite the tree hanging and the cross-dressing chaos, Mager was deeply impressed by Louis's actual presentation. She recognizes his retirement is coming soon, so she personally recommends Louis to take her place in Rutherford's advanced lab. She has total faith in his talent, even if his methods are questionable. #6. Royalty, rivalry, and the alcohol war.
So his infamy reaches royalty. Does he actually meet them?
He does. Chapter 9, The Problem Child and the Golden Gorilla. This introduces Lionel Brem, Edward Riddle, the first prince.
Golden Gorilla? Where did that come from?
That was Louis's internal nickname for him back at the festival. He sold the prince soup without realizing who he was, just saw this loud, really muscular young man.
What's the prince like?
Lionel's actually key to understanding the political side of things later on. He's described as sincere, very kind, genuinely wants to protect his kingdom, but completely lacks political cunning. He's just a good guy, maybe too good for court life.
How do they properly meet?
Predictably, Lionel steps right into the middle of yet another brawl between Louis and Adolf.
Of course he does.
And takes a punch to the nose meant for Adolf. Louis then gets restrained by Nate, who's Lionel's attendant and bodyguard. And through all this, Louis finds out something important.
What's that?
Lionel and Rosalie are childhood friends, close friends.
Another complication for Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is going on with Rosalie.
Definitely. And to add insult to injury, Louis later loses a magic battle to the prince.
How? Louis is the barrier mage.
Lionel, despite Louis throwing up complex barriers, just uses raw physical force. He headbutts Louis, knocks him clean out.
A headbutt. That's got to sting Louis's pride after all that barrier work.
Oh, it's profoundly humiliating for him. Proves that sometimes even the most complex magecraft can be beaten by pure, unexpected brute force. Ironically, it kind of mirrors Louis's own early tactics, doesn't it?
Huh. Yeah, it does. So does Louis learn his lesson? Maybe calm down a bit?
What do you think? Chapter 10. The problem child's alcohol war shows him immediately trying to use his genius for petty revenge again.
Against who this time? Rutherford.
The old rat himself. Louis plots to infiltrate Rutherford's lab to swap the professor's confiscated alcohol stash with water mixed with a laxative.
Oh, Louis. That sounds like a terrible idea.
It fails spectacularly. He gets caught. Turns out, despite all his intense barrier research focused on Rutherford's numbing smoke, Louis still can't block Rutherford's simpler sneeze-inducing smoke.
Sneeze-inducing smoke? Rutherford has that too.
Apparently, Louis ends up caught hanging from the wall, utterly defeated again. His punishment: write a humiliating 100-page apology letter. Rutherford is always one step ahead.
But the chapter isn't all failure, is it? There's something with Rosalie.
Right. Amidst the failure, Louis shows some growing emotional maturity. He gives Rosalie a hairpin he bought.
A gift from Louis.
What? He explains he was motivated after hearing more about her father, Bertrand Verde, the Aquamancy sage. Bertrand is famous for his huge public works projects, water and sewage systems that saved countless lives across the kingdom.
Wow, that's impressive.
And it makes Louis reflect. He contrasts Bertrand's massive, selfless contribution with his own childhood in Dangroats, where cheap, dangerous alcohol was often safer to drink than the contaminated local water.
That's a powerful contrast.
It really hits him.
Yeah.
He starts to realize that true status, true respect, isn't just about raw power or a house in the capital. It's about stability, responsibility, concepts totally alien to his survivalist past. It's a seed being planted, #7, final decisions and the challenge.
So Louis is maturing slightly. How does this play out in his magic?
He channels this growing focus, maybe even the sense of responsibility, into Chapter 11, the interlaboratory magic battle competition. He actually teams up with Carla and Rutherford.
He cooperates with Rutherford.
He does, and finds a way to integrate his chaotic energy into brilliant, cooperative magecraft. It's a big step.
How has his fighting style evolved by now?
It's pretty unique. He uses flight magecraft for rapid movement, combined with his signature move, shielded punching.
Shielded punching, what's that?
He erects this tiny, super dense defensive barrier right on his fist and then just rams opponents with protected physical force. It's that hybrid style again.
Physical force combined with high-level magic.
Exactly, and it's devastating. He smashes through enemy lines, dismantles multiple teams. The source specifically notes that this is where he solidly earns the title he seems to be aiming for, the Barrier Mage.
So he gets recognition for his unique style.
And the battle ends spectacularly. He goes up against Macragan, another instructor, who summons Lulucha, the king of the water spirits. A massive attack.
How does Louis handle the Spirit King?
He reflects it perfectly, uses a precisely timed barrier to send the massive water attack splashing back, soaking everyone watching, including some of the sages who were observing.
He soaked the sages.
Yep. It solidifies his reputation and his intent. He is the barrier mage now. Serious business.
Okay, so Louis is finding his place, his title. What about Rosalie?
Chapter 12. Burdens and Resolutions. This is where Rosalie makes her big choice. She tells Lou she's leaving Minerva's.
Leaving. To do what?
To become a doctor. She was inspired by Dr. Woodman at the infirmary. She wants to treat mana-related symptoms. She realized she can make a huge contribution using her intellect and passion, even with her low mana capacity.
That's actually really powerful, finding her own path.
It is, and Louis, though he admits he feels deeply lonely losing her from the school, he supports her newfound strength. He recognizes it. He helped her find it, in his own weird way.
And Lionel comes back into the picture.
Soon after, yeah. Lionel confides in Louis about his own burdens, feeling unsuited for politics, the plotting and scheming, but feeling this deep duty to protect his younger, frail half-brothers from it all.
So Louis is seeing responsibility everywhere he looks now.
Exactly. These conversations hit him hard. He starts to realize his own goals, the house, the jam, even becoming a sage just for status. They still feel small, too self-focused compared to the weight his friends are carrying.
This pressure cooker, it has to lead somewhere big.
It leads directly to the ultimate turning point. Chapter 13, The Problem Child Graduates. Right before graduation, Louis hears a rumor.
What rumor?
That Rosalie's father, Bertrand Verde, the Aquamancy sage, intends to marry her off to his hand-picked successor, someone worthy, someone with status.
Oh no, Louis is not going to take that well.
He reacts with pure, uncontrolled panic and aggression, all that recent maturity. Out the window, he uses expensive flight magecraft and zooms right off campus.
Where's it going?
Straight to confront Bertrand Verde himself. At his home, he bursts in, still the crude brothel boy underneath the Minerva's uniform, and basically declares, "I'm marrying your daughter, so quit asking other jerks to do it."
You just announced it.
Yeah.
To a sage. In his own house.
Bertrand is understandably enraged, shouting right in front of another sage visiting him. He completely dismisses Louis, calls him vulgar, boorish, and utterly unrefined.
Ouch.
And then Bertrand lays down the challenge, this massive, impossible, non-negotiable set of conditions for any suitor, especially this one.
What are the conditions?
They attack everything Louis isn't. Bertrand demands that Rosalie's husband must have class, a house in the capital, and the skill to become a sage. He finishes by declaring Rosalie must marry a man who is like a prince.
Class, a capital house, and sage-level skill. That's monumental. Basically impossible for Louis at this point.
It's meant to be impossible, but this challenge, rooted in social status, political power, everything Louis lacks, it becomes his true ambition engine. It's concrete. It's for Rosalie.
He accepts.
He roars it back at Bertrand, so as long as I have class, a house in the capital, and I'm a sage, you're fine with it, right? Well, all right then, I'll become a sage.
Wow. Just like that. His goal scales up from marmalade to sagehood because of this one conversation.
Exactly. It's the moment his simple, concrete motivations become seismic, and he acts on it immediately. Goes straight to Lionel and Nate.
For what? Magic training.
For gentleman training. Posture, manners, ballroom dancing, the whole 9 yards. He graduates from Minerva's, having consciously sealed away his rough northern accent, his crude mannerisms. He's transforming himself, externally at least, purely to meet Bertrand's conditions and win Rosalie.
That's intense dedication. Or obsession.
It's probably both. The epilogue. His first dragon hunt brings us full circle, almost back to the prologue's timeline. Louis has successfully joined the elite magic corps. He's on the path, securing the wealth and status part of the deal.
But there's more going on, isn't there? Politics.
Oh, yeah. The final pages reveal the intricate political currents Louis has just unknowingly dived into headfirst. This is crucial context for you, the listener, moving forward.
What's the conspiracy?
It turns out Adolf Farron, his rival, he's now working for Duke Clockford.
Who's Duke Clockford?
He's the grandfather of the second prince, and his main goal is consolidating political power. He wants to ensure the next generation of 7 sages are aligned with his faction, securing his grandson's path to the throne.
So he's picking future sages.
He's trying to. He supports figures like the gem mage Emmanuel Darwin and potentially Adolf Farron himself eventually.
And Louis just declared he's going to become a sage.
Exactly. Louis's sudden, spectacular rise and his very public declaration to Bertrand. It makes him a massive, unexpected obstacle to Duke Clockford's careful plans.
And Adolf is involved how?
Adolf, still bitter and humiliated, is actively spreading rumors about Rosalie's impending marriage, trying to discourage Louis, push him off this path.
Does Louis know any of this? About the Duke, the plotting?
Not a clue. He's completely oblivious to the conspiracy. He's just laser-focused on climbing the ranks, earning money, learning manners, and achieving the impossible goal Bertrand set, all driven by that singular personal obsession. Rosalie. He stumbled into the heart of a political war without even realizing it. Hashtag tagged outro.
When you analyze Louis's journey, it's just fascinating, isn't it? He moves from this pure survival instinct focused on, well, marmalade and basic safety,
Yeah.
to accepting this massive kingdom-level political and magical challenge thrown down by an angry father. His drive isn't really for power itself, not in the abstract. It's this fierce, unshakable will, and it's fueled entirely by one specific person.
We literally watch his ambition transform, from simple acquisition food, money, to necessary elevation class, sagehood.
Exactly.
And that initial contradiction, it's what defines him, right? Lou Miller, the barrier mage, he's this technical genius, quick chanting, simultaneous spell maintenance, complex barriers like mirror prison, reflecting spirit kings.
Top-tier skills. Yet his true focus, deep down, remains on these concrete, almost simple goals. Jam, punching people who get in his way, winning the fight, winning Rosalie. That unique fighting style, the shielded punching, combined with high-level magic. It's a direct result of that chaotic blend. Survival instinct plus intellectual horsepower.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, the challenge ahead, Louis is now trying to fulfill 3 contradictory demands simultaneously, achieve extreme wealth and magical status, the sage level, but also adopt the aristocratic class that Bertrand demanded. Can he actually do both? Be both?
That's the big question. Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. As Louis enters the Magic Corps, starts his gentleman training, which of Bertrand's demands do you think will prove the hardest for the problem child to genuinely achieve?
Is it the class? Can he truly become refined? Is it the house in the capital, the symbol of wealth? Or is it reaching the absolute pinnacle, becoming a sage?
And maybe more importantly, what kind of new problem child incident will that struggle inevitably create? Because let's be real, he might have sealed away his accent for now.
But deep down,
He's still raw, aggressive Louis Miller from the brothel. And the pressure of trying to become a sage, especially with political enemies he doesn't even know he has, that core self is bound to erupt eventually.
it almost certainly will. It's just a matter of when and how spectacularly.